Harmony T says, "Hi Luke, I'm an English education major student in South Korea. Do you think studying syntax is good for English? I can't find any pleasure from studying syntax." So this is the question of not learning things well, or feeling that you can't learn well because something just sucks. It's not fun to do. It's not interesting. And that's an okay problem to have, because that means that you just haven't found the right way to do it. What way are you doing it would be my question. If you're in a very dry way, studying things like sentence diagrams, or you're looking at basic structures in a textbook or something like that, well, that probably is pretty boring. That probably is pretty boring. But it goes back to a very interesting finding from a study that was done, I believe, in France. And the study was about how well students in France were able to pick up the French language as foreign exchange students. And they had two groups of students, and it was quite an interesting result. One group of students was just studying the language. They were studying the structures, they were studying the idioms, they were studying the vocabulary, all of that stuff. The other group of students, who were at the same level from the start, were studying a subject, civics, or something. I can't remember. They were studying the thing, and then using French to learn it. So they had to learn French in order to understand the subject. So what they found was, when the students had to learn the language as a requirement in order to learn another thing, they were able to learn it better than the other group. Why is that? Well, the other group, maybe they didn't really see, why are we doing this? What is this for? What is the application of this? Maybe if you remember in middle school or high school, your math teacher would say, okay, here's the equation for this thing. And you're just thinking, well, that's nice, but why am I using that? But if your teacher had told you that this might be useful if we apply it to economics, and if you understand economics, then you can, get this job, and this is what these people in this job use this to do, that would have been more interesting, right? But they don't do that. They just teach you the equations, and it's really boring. So like the students learning French, use the syntax to do something, or use it because you have to use it in order to accomplish something. So what do I mean by that? Well, maybe you could do this sort of two-step back and forth process where you read a book that's very challenging to you. It's a challenging book, so you have to really, read it pretty carefully. Then you give yourself the task of summarizing each chapter in writing. This is a challenge. Or perhaps not even summarizing it. Maybe that's too boring. Maybe you give yourself the challenge of giving an analysis of each chapter, saying what you agree with and what you disagree with, what you thought was interesting, what you thought the person who wrote this did well or explained well. Maybe that's more interesting. So you're trying to accomplish something. You're trying to achieve something. You have to do it. And then in order to do it, you need to have good syntax. Now, if you wanted to really put yourself in a pressure situation, then get onto some online forums where you have to write long replies to each other. Write some answers to questions about things that you know about things that you know. Yes, about things that you know on Quora. So someone asks a question. Well, what do you, Harmony, know? What kind of topics do you know about? What can you answer questions about? Go on Quora and find one that you feel comfortable with and try to write a little article about that thing. It should be something that you know about, something you're interested in. And then you have to know that many people, might be thousands of people, will read that and they'll be judging you. That's a little bit of pressure, and that can be a good thing, having that pressure behind you, on you. I need to make this really good. Because you need to make it really good, you need to be able to use good syntax. So then you're applying what you've learned immediately to the thing that you're doing. Then you get comments and you interact with that. So you're actually creating something in the world that's useful. You're helping yourself in other ways because you might be making more connections. You might be gaining a reputation as someone who's knowledgeable about a subject. And at the same time, through that activity, through that exercise, you are learning syntax rather than like the students in France just learning French for whatever reason, or the kid in math class just looking at equations. Why am I doing this? Rather than not having a reason. So give yourself a reason. And I'm not saying you have to choose the reason I gave you. I'm just saying that as an example. But there's always a way. Be creative, not about what you're learning. Be creative about the way that you learn, the angle that you take into learning, right? If I just said, so for example, I started a YouTube channel. Here I am on YouTube. If I had said, I just want to learn video editing. I want to learn video editing. Well, I could, but why would I do it? No, I'm going to make a short film. Ah, okay. Well, in order to make a short film, I have to learn video editing. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Well, in order to make YouTube videos, you have to learn video editing. So put a thing that's interesting that pulls you on the other side of the dry, boring thing. That's my real advice there. It's a good question, Harmony. And thank you for correcting the N. I just want to make it clear, everybody, that Harmony did, before I commented on this, she did write N in a follow-up comment. So in case anyone is judging an English major for putting English, she did correct it, just for the record. All right. Guys, if you have any other questions, comments, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and check out my full English courses in the links in the description.